that circle, which is the only one, the other two are kind of slashes, you just tap it, and it just starts and stops it. But we're going to let it roll for a little while. So, this place used to be something, but spirit boxes, there are 3 of you. I will not be giving you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse, like what we did over there with the red barn. I will withhold the information starting in this location. So, let's talk about where we are. This used to be the Eliza and Charles Pinckney mansion. So, their mansion actually sat in the front of this space, that would be within the confines of the walls that we're standing in. Eliza's garden was lined up with the Five Church restaurant over there, and came all the way across, and we are standing in the servant slave quarters for the home. So, that's the layout of the place. So, who the heck were these people? They had a son named Charles, they had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 different Charleses. Do you guys see why I look for those secondary clues to be able to verify who the heck we're talking to? The son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. It's a pretty big deal for us, but I hate politics more than anybody here. So we're going to move on. What do you think? I think it's a great idea. And I talk really fast. That's another reason why I record this, so that you guys can slow me down as much as you want, because there's a lot to cover. And I'm also from the north, so no, I'm not from South Carolina. But anyway, so Eliza married Charles at a young age. If you will ask on your spirit boxes how old Eliza is when she got married, it's not going to be the ages from colonial times from when she came. So it's not going to be like 12 and 14. It's going to be according to today's standards. And she would have been considered an old maid during colonial times at the age that she got married. Nobody probably even would have wanted her except for this man, Charles Pinckney, who happened to be over double her age. So again, you can ask either of those ages when we separate. So she married Charles because her father over in England thought he was dying. She didn't think he was dying, but he wanted to see all of his children one last time. She got married. This is 1744. She didn't marry this guy for a green card or for citizenship. She married him out of love because we're not even a country yet. There's no such thing as a green card. So she was right. Dad didn't die right away. So he starts sending her gifts apologetically to this space. One of those gifts happened to be the plant seeds of indigo. Indigo is a plant that makes blue dye that makes her blue jeans blue. Cindy's wearing it right now because that's how we still use it today. So, she didn't know what to do with these seeds when she got them. She had to learn from her slaves how to keep it cultivated in our weird temperatures. Once she had it figured out, she moves it to a plantation just north of here in Mount Pleasant, Sneed Farms, if you want to go check that out. But anyway, with that, she calls her dad after that and says, the rice plantations are going downhill. We can make a killing with this indigo. Now we have an international businesswoman during colonial times. Very big deal. However, that's her business. Let's get into the weird shit, because that's why you guys are all here. So, it's not about all her business. Eliza was the second wife named Eliza from Charles, back to back. First wife Eliza dies. 5 months later, he's marrying this one. Ironically, both Elizas have a maiden name that starts with the letter L. I don't think I have to explain what a maiden name is to this group. That's super cool. But anyway, so if you want to find out which Eliza we're dealing with, ask the maiden name to see what comes up. As far as the mansion, it's not here anymore. You can ask what happened to it. It's obviously some kind of tragedy. And then you can ask what year that happened if you get an answer. So again, very specific, non-yes or no questions. The children, I told you there's at least one, right? Signer of the Constitution guy, Charles. However, there are more. You can ask how many and what their names are, and that's it. Reason being, there's a tragedy among those children. We start poking that bear, all activity will stop. Cindy, have you had a reading at all yet? I haven't even kind of focused on me.
Not really. It's just 0.4.
Okay, yeah, that's natural from the earth, just so you know.
Yeah. You said 2.2.
2.5.
2.5.
So if we were getting activity, it would stop if we were poking the bear too hard about asking about that tragedy. So let's just not ruin the tour for everybody. Let's see. Eliza's death is where she's really open. You can ask her how old she was when she died, where she died from, where she's married, what U.S. president was a pallbearer at her funeral. I don't think I have to explain what a pallbearer is to this group either. This is going to be cool, guys. Thanks. When I get to teenagers, some of these terms don't make sense to them at all. And you'll see throughout the night, I'm like, I don't have to explain that. But anyway, we are going to spread out in this lot. I mean, there's only a couple of cars in here, but we're still not going to be filming too harshly on vehicles. We're going to be finding where the hotspots are with Cindy once I release her, because I have to work with her first on that motion sensor. But nice slow movements out of the cameras, and the slower you are, the better off you're going to be. So one of the reasons why I actually gave you that one specifically is because his records audio. So if something comes up that you guys just missed and you couldn't make it out, you guys can also check out the audio on the video as well. So normally I would put it with the thermal imaging camera just to kind of see how it goes. I do have a trigger object. Is anybody brave enough to try that out?
Sure.
He's like, oh yeah, let's do it. So the trigger object, what do you think it is? Anybody know what a trigger object is? Okay, I'll explain. So a trigger object is basically something relative to the space to be able to try to stir things up.
Okay.
So it's triggering the activity. I have with me indigo seeds that actually make blue dye. So this little vial is just glued to this card. So if it does come apart, just let me know. You can probably just slide it in your breast pocket.
Okay.
Make sure you're sticking by him, just because it normally, when I give this out, it's normally the activity will come through on a spirit box of some way, shape, or form. So, but trigger objects, like this is something new that I've been testing out. Obviously, you can see I'm always testing weird things out to see what goes on. I'll be honest, last week we actually had a couple of like, we don't want you here kind of messages come through. I got us out of the space pretty quickly. This is normally a very welcoming space. By the end of the week, Friday and Saturday, it was starting to ease up with like actual answers and, you know, we don't mind you coming here. Like, yes, the song lyric from the Car song came through. We don't mind you coming here. Yes, that was exactly what came through. I'm like, oh, thank you, guys. So I'm out, like, because I don't want to lose the space. So, but somebody earlier in the week said we don't want him here, and I didn't know if it was reference to me. Yeah. Because again, I'm here 7 nights a week.
Yeah.
And the disembodied voices that I have caught on these tours normally come from this space, and the most prominent one I've ever gotten was just leave us alone. And it came over 11 different radio stations. You have to imagine I have this software to be able to test these things to make sure it's legit and not radio chatter. So if I hear something and I'm like, that's kind of weird and very, very long, because it was just leave us alone. Like 11 radio stations it went
So was that
over.
a word from different stations? Like Jeff was from one station, leave us alone was from another?
This was not radio chatter.
Okay.
It was somebody was using your device to give me a message that wasn't using the radio chatter, like you said, like just was from one channel, Lee was from another, us alone from the next. No. This was one voice over 11 stations.
The chills. Okay.
So, it doesn't happen often.
That's cool.
That's why we use the method we're using tonight.
Okay.
So, let's have some fun. I want to see your word list before you guys separate, and then Cindy, you and I are going to work together. So, kind of give you guys, what I do with the list, guys, is I just kind of quickly scan it. And if I see if anything actually pops up, that's, I mean, we got nothing so far. But I did say prominent several times, did I not? It's very weird. So, it's not listening to me. So, it's just like somebody's repeating whatever I'm saying. It's very, very weird. So, again, let's spread out. Let's have some fun. Cindy, stick with me.
All right.
All right. So, you've obviously seen it go up to this point here.
Yeah.
Do you want to come and get your indigo? You don't need to wave that around.
Have you done that?
That's what I was saying. Do you want to come and get your indigo? I'm asking.
Oh.
That's okay. Come on. Where we go? I want to go over to the gate. Over. How old were you when you got married? What room are we standing in your house now? What room are we standing in? How old were you when you were married? I've got your indigo here. Can you come get the indigo and show us how to plant it? You can talk.
It's the same question again.
Can you come get this indigo and show us how to plant it? Keep that on your list. Did you like living here? Your house is beautiful. How many types of indigo are there? How many types of indigo did you grow? When you were you buried in indigo? I think it's a satellite. Ask questions. You're supposed to ask.
What was her name? What was her name?
Is this the right type of indigo for around here? Will this grow? I know I'm asking yes or no questions. What did you think about your family signing the Declaration of Independence?
crazy coming up on your camera?
No, nothing crazy. I did ask if these. I asked if she wanted to plant these indigo seeds, and that clearly said no. But that's really the only thing to
Again, that thing is just going to spit out like you normally 1 or 2 syllables at a time if you can even make them out.
Yeah.
That's what's so interesting about it. So, have you heard anything other than the no that came through?
I'm trying not to speak,
Just let it work. Okay, and that's fair. All right, I'm going to go.
And I don't know, like what this is. That am I picking up chatter from
Radio stations. It's exactly what you're doing.
Okay.
It's exactly what you're doing.
Okay.
So it might be radio chatter. With this device, we don't know if it's disembodied or radio chatter. That's the whole point, because we don't get all of the stuff in between. You're getting the little snippets. Let me see how Louisa is today.
Okay.
Today's pretty quiet, dude. Like, I gotta get him talking.
Is that higher or is that Is that higher or just down low? Different.
No. Can you tell me your name? Who's talking to us now? Who's talking to us? Are we talking to one of the children? Is this one of the children that died here?
Pretty cool stuff over there.
Really?
Yep.
Cool.
Anything coming up on yours?
I was asking if any of the children were here.
You keep asking yes or no questions, man. Do I gotta monitor you?
Yes and no only?
Non-yes and no.
Right. Yeah, so I was asking for the names of the children.
Oh, I thought you said if any of them were here. I'm like, that's yes or no.
Oh, no. I'm trying not to say yes or no questions.
Eliza, tell Bill and Dana how many children you had. I'm gonna go follow up with Cindy because she hasn't said a word.
Number one. Not like, they actually said there was number one.
Eliza. We like indigo. Do you like indigo? Eliza, how old were you when you died? Eliza, how many servants did you have in this house? Eliza, what's the name of your favorite servant? Eliza, you had 10 servants? Eliza, what's the name of your favorite servant? Eliza, did you refer to your workers as servants or slaves? Slave? I just asked if she referred to them as servants or slaves.
Okay.
And it just said slave.
We do get the word slaves here.
And I asked
10?
And I asked how many servants she had at the house, and they came across and said 10.
With the servants and slaves, I can't prove any of it. That's the only unfortunate thing because there's no records. But the fact that you had a specific answer of 10, like, again, very specific.
103.5 in Griswold.
Griswold pops up a lot. Like, I'm not even going to take that one. Just because it's like a common commercial for us.
Oh, okay.
And then you said 103.5?
Yeah. It was their call station, I guess.
Yeah, obviously. Everybody watch the vehicle? Again, this the only way. Oh, it looks like they're just turning around, so they're fine.
Okay, she said. Okay.
Everybody watching the okay.
I'll just start giving you guys answers over here, so we're actually getting a little bit of activity on the millimeter. So, what do we have back there? That's Tina. Some of these are like starting to form together a little bit, and I kind of want to give you the gist of how we're going about doing this. Try it again. Yeah, put your device next to her. See how much of an EMF it's giving off. Is it doing the same thing again?
No.
No?
It was, though, you were behind me.
So not the same reading?
No, but when she came up now, yeah.
But she's not
It
above
goes,
that.
it fluctuates.
Anything above that 11 that you've given me so far?
No, you know what? The 11 came when you were next to me.
Tina, come on over. She can hear me.
Do you feel like you've got people attached to you?
Not for a while. When I first started this, yes. It was happening all the time. And again, with my epilepsy, it was really not in a safe place for me. So now there are little tiny things all over my bag to keep us all protected. So you guys have a lot of really cool things going on. So I want to go ahead and mute that specific device just so I can kind of get into this. But I do want to keep your REM pod on, so try to be as still as possible. I'm very interested in some of the terms that are showing up, and I don't want to reveal it all. It'll all start to make sense when I give you all the answers about some of the more of the history. Let's go ahead and stop the video. So hit the red square for me, and then go ahead and hit your circle. Let's kind of give your videos a break. Yeah, she's like, you got to press down.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Any names pop up?
Sam,
Tina, what you got?
Camilla,
Yours are being written down for me.
Schedule. Boys, come on.
Okay. Interesting. Alright, so this place is very unique indeed. So this is considered a quiet area. So I did ask Dana to turn hers on mute because somebody looks like they actually got that room taken. We're standing next to a hotel and a restaurant, so just kind of be mindful of people coming through. Come on, guys, you're good, you're good. Enjoy that Camilla's coffee. It's like it's a ghost hunting tour.
I'm in New Orleans. I love that.
So, with this space, when we crossed over that last crosswalk, that's where the original Charlestown walls used to be. So, Charleston used to be called Charlestown, the walled city. That's where the wall stood, going up Cumberland. The other side would have been across the street on East Bay Street from where we were walking. So basically, those buildings wouldn't have been there. I have the full list of residents of every person that's ever lived here. That's why I asked y'all for names. You didn't give me the names I normally hear because it shows up every 6 to 7 weeks, and we're in week 1. So I had all of those names show up like a week ago, all like in concession. It was craziness. So the names I normally hear are Benjamin and John. It sounds very common names. There were 4 different Johns that lived here during a 60-year period. So if we ever get confused as to which John, he gives us his last name, Johnson. John Johnson. So yes, that was his real name. So, do I have anything significant about Benjamin and John? No. They both lived here in 1801. That's 2 out of 5 people that lived here. Every once in a while, a third name will pop up. Jane. Name we don't normally hear too often today. That's a third person that lived here in 1801. Why am I getting all these things around 1801? I have no idea. That's why we're out here doing this. Hopefully we're going to capture a different type of loop that's going on. We did get something with the year 1855. Last week as well, so I don't know if it's just things are starting to really pick up because these guys are realizing what the heck we're doing out here, but we had the word bake and Alex show up. There was an Alexander Calder who was a baker that lived here in 1855. So again, these are things that I can't make up. This list isn't extensive, so it's not like a big giant page after page after page. It's only 2 pages long. So they did do an archaeological dig underneath these bricks. They found that these people were poor, little tiny shotgun houses. They found some of their silverware, their tools, their clothing. Makes sense that they were poor because I told you the wall was down there on East Bay Street. The smell of low tide is coming through here all the time. The rich of Charleston are not going to put up with that. If you've noticed, our houses, most of them, are skinny in the front and go long back. There's a couple of reasons for that. First off, it helps keep the smell of low tide out. We have piazzas on the side of the building with a front door, which keeps the smell of low tide to hit the door. It does not come inside the home. They open up a second-story window. The cool air comes in from over the water. Cool air drops, heat rises. It's old-school air conditioning. The second reason they're skinny in the front is because you're taxed based on how much street side you take. So the skinnier your house, the less taxes you're paying. That's why the houses are angled in specific ways all around Charleston. We just talked about the Pinckney Mansion site. Their house was broad. First off, they're outside the city. Second, the Pinckneys were mainly politicians, probably not paying much in taxes if they are at all, but they don't care. They want to show off the beautiful home. That's kind of the family that they were. They had their Ingo money and politician money. So, here's why I think I keep getting those names every 6 to 7 weeks. This is where things might go a little deeper than what you were expecting. We're standing on Belgian blocks. These things are made straight of granite. They come straight from the earth. If you know anything about the paranormal, which seems like everybody here knows a good bit of something, you've heard the term limestone before. Limestone is said to stir up activity because it comes straight from the earth, as does granite. When stone has been sitting here for a couple of 100 years, it is said to hang on to the consciousness of memories and spit it back to us. So that way we can actually, they call it the stone tape theory. So again, I've been coming here for 3 years, night after night after night, not realizing like what the loop was and all of that. Last year I just figured it out as I started diving into the stone tape theory. So I was kind of like, you gotta be kidding me. When I realized that these were made of granite coming straight from the earth, like, boom, let's see if it continues. Lo and behold, it continues every 6 to 7 weeks. I get it. I can't put it to a moon phase. I can't put it to anything else other than a weird schedule of 6 to 7 weeks. So, let's see, before residents lived here, the Freemasons had a Masonic lodge here, hence the name Lodge Alley. So we do get terms wrapped around the Freemasons from time to time. I noticed when we met, Freemason, Mason, Brick, and the word Illuminati loves to show up here. First off, who the hell is saying the word Illuminati on the radio? That's where I'm getting it from. Second, why am I only hearing it in this space? Take that for what it's worth. In the event something actually pops up around, you know, this, the location of the residence and things like that, like the name Camilla, for some odd reason, as unique as it is, I want to say that that's on the list. I don't know where, but I'm going to see if it's on there. And again, it's only 2 pages long, so it's very interesting. Benjamin and John, you guys did not hear, so I'm trying to see if I find it in the morning to see if the loop has changed. But I would definitely give you the link to the archaeological report that shows where the Freemasons lived here and what they actually found, just so that hopefully So the next space we're going to go to is another alley. However, I can't take you all the way through it like what we're doing now. I've been kicked out. So you guys have all the blinky lights and crazy cameras and noisemakers. It is considered residential at the end. You're going to see other tours going down halfway, which is allowed, but it's not fair for my 10 people to go around their 20 to 40 people as we try to investigate half of an alley. So that is a place where things get stirred up pretty quickly. So we will hear clues from that location through the rest of the night. After that, I'll see what's going on with the spirit boxes based on what y'all are telling me, and I'll see, because there's like 15 stories on the next space after that. If you guys don't give me anything relevant, which happens, it's common, I'll go to my normal go-to stories and get us prepped for the female pirate investigation at the very last stop. So if you're into pirates, which I'm not, I'm a vampire guy, and you'll hear me say that again. But again, this crazy vampire story, see, she got me going. Crazy pirate story is pretty nuts. It took a lot of research, and again, I don't even like pirates. It's just not my thing. But now I'm like obsessed with the whole history of it because none of it, like, I guess, I don't want to say none of it matches up, but you really have to know all of the different stories to see like whose version of what matches up with what else is going on. It's a lot of going back and forth with this history. It's kind of nutty stuff. As we exit the alley, gentlemen, I need you to stop your videos. So once we get to the edge, stop your video, because we're going to be cutting through a neighborhood to get to the next one. We don't record in neighborhoods. So anything show up on your word list since we've been here?
Rise, loyalty,
That's it?
grief, and loss.
All very vague. Like nothing specific enough for me to say, woo! Did you get anything on yours? Have you
I turned it down.
Okay.
I couldn't hear you.
Sorry.
No,
Keep it down
okay.
because of the hotel.
Yeah.
Because it says quiet area.
Absolutely.
So, again, why?
Tell me later.
Yeah, you're going to get the whole thing
Yeah.
anyway. You can find on your own stuff. We don't get readings in this space. If we do, it's an anomaly by itself, which is weird because the past week there's been a spike in this location pretty much every night, anywhere between 8 to 11 milliamps. So again, that's pretty high for the space where it's not going to go above 4 because of the super thick walls. Because we're going to get electric readings from the walls because of the buildings, but if it goes above 4, I'm pretty excited. But you haven't mentioned anything. You're kind of like out of the game for a little while, at least as we get through past Philadelphia Alley. So
So if I understand you right, it's the granite that's
stern shit.
yeah, right. With the energy, not a particular soul. It's the residual.
It's so the studies that I've done on different cases, because this isn't the only thing I do. I do my own investigations too. It's wherever there's raised emotion.
Oh.
So that's usually like when you hear like a teenage girl has been possessed or those kind of crazy movies and there's a little bit of truth to it, it's because that girl is going through puberty. That's a raised emotion. The hormones are going different.
So they're open to it. Exactly.
So here, can I find anything that happened here in 1801? There's no research. There's no record of it. I dig and dig and dig constantly. Because sometimes word will show up on Louisa's list where I'm like, what the hell does this mean? I have no idea. I have to really go through that archaeological report to be able to find it, and it's like 200 pages long.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on there. But 1801, it's Charleston. Of course there's a lot going on in 1801. So we'll kind of see what happens at the next space. But yeah, you have some great questions. You're keeping me on my toes.
Chatty cat.
Chatty cat? At least you're not a negative Nancy, because I get those too.
Exactly. I like that. Tell me what I can unmute.
Debbie Downer.
Oh, we hate those.
You could probably unmute for a little while. Let's see what we get.
So which one of these buildings was the Masonic?
Neither.
Neither, okay.
So the Masonic Lodge, from what I understand, actually stood here on the corner of State Street.
Okay.
This was a residence, and I think they turned this one into a bakery.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a Masonic Lodge ahead of time, before the residents actually got here. So
Oh,
I
okay.
say it was where this building stands.
And I have to turn this off.
Yeah, you want to cut that off.
Good stop.
Nope. I can still see the blanket light. Just tap go. Perfect.
Okay.
It's a nice hall.
It's a nice hall. Time on those rough stones.
Dog bark.
On the thing? No.
Yeah, usually wherever I go, I can find a lot. Here we get to here. My father and grandfather and great-grandfather.
Okay. You want to see that song about
Two? Okay. Right here there's a lot of money going around here. I think it's squeezed out of the historic district.
Okay. Those cobblestones trip you up?
I heard doctors pretty clearly.
Yes. This is actually going to be a fun one. So this will be easy. We'll try to stay towards the middle next to the door if we can. Okay, Jose. Perfect. Right on either side of the door. So both of you are going to be trying to film the alley behind me very discreetly. So even if you just want to like flip yours up like really, really low. Again, other tours do go down that alley. They didn't sign up to be filmed. Nope, opposite way. Flip it around. There you go. Even if you want to flip it lowest, you don't. There you go. You got it directly a little bit. That's cool. The tall guy. Again, normally I don't give it to the tall guy because he's like, check everything out. So, did them cobblestones trip you up? That's what I was trying to ask.
I have a few snorkels, so it doesn't move like normal ankles. It only goes this way. So don't mind me. I'll just have to like go slow.
That's okay. I always look back to make sure my feet
Yeah,
are
but
right.
no, I appreciate it.
Because I
Fine,
want
no,
people to
just
Max
keep on
Place all the
going.
time. So, welcome to Philadelphia Alley. It's easy for me to remember the name of this place because that's where Eliza's buried. However, we named it Philadelphia Alley after dueling became illegal and stupid. This used to be Dueler's Alley. So,
Where we came today.
okay. Do you know the story?
Yeah.
Do you know why the word you gave me is relevant?
No. Oh, yeah, I do.
Now you
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, because he was a doctor. And,
Right.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
She heard doctor very clearly on the way here. So here's how the story goes. We all tell the same story because I'm going to tell it differently because it's obviously you're ghost hunting, not just listening to a ghost story. So there's a doctor that moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Joseph Brown Ladd. He moves down here because his fiancée, Amanda, just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She has an attorney helping her out with all of this cash, and the attorney thinks that the doctor's just after Amanda's money. So he tells Amanda to get rid of the doctor. So Dr. Ladd moves to Charleston to prove that he's not after her cash. The coachman that brought him into town set him up to be robbed and killed. So it wasn't a very good start. Somebody walking by sees what's going on. His name is Ralph Isaacs. I'm going to stop on Ralph. Again, you're ghost hunting. Ralph has the same initials as where the doctor came from. Rhode Island, Ralph Isaacs. R.I. shows up here a lot. However, Ralph and the doctor are the two main characters of this location. We need the secondary clue, so we need to know who the hell it belongs to. It's always very confusing. So anyway, Ralph tells the doctor, you don't want to go in there, man. He's got a gunman inside. He's going to try to kill you and take all your money. So I got some friends at 59 Church Street. You can rent a room from them, and you'll be safe. The doctor takes him up on the offer at 59 Church Street, and the two become friends. The doctor's practice starts to take off. He's making his own money, so Amanda's moving down soon. He becomes known as the Whistling Doctor. Every haunted city you guys ever visit, because some of you have visited many, have a whistling ghost cliche. Ours is a doctor, roll with it. So, with that said, at the end of the story, I'll tell you why he's called the Whistling Doctor, other than the fact of he whistles all the time. Anyway, him and Ralph go see plays together, but they can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. That's just the way the hierarchy is. He gets better seats. So talking about William III one night from Shakespeare on the way home, and the doctor thought the new actress in town was fantastic. Ralph, not so much. Gets into a heated argument when Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiancée, Amanda, back home in Rhode Island. They go their separate ways. But Ralph is from here. He has friends at the newspaper. He calls his friends up and he puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Pretty much a disgrace. The doctor sees that ad and he rebuttals with, let's go to Jeweler's Alley. We're going to settle this. Somebody's going to die, basically. So they come down, they take their 10 paces, they turn. The doctor points his gun in the air and he shoots. He did not want to kill his friend. He just wanted to have the courage and bravery to show up to the fight, and that, he was willing to forgive his friend. But Ralph, he has his one shot. He puts it in the kneecap. Sorry, he puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. So he doesn't die either. Ralph proved his point. He's still mad. The doctor drops to the ground, but his friends pick him up, carry him home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later after refusing medical treatment. He's a doctor. Probably tried to bleed it out himself. Now they say as you walk through this alley, you can actually hear the whistles from the doctor. Keep in mind, what if you happen to go down there again and turn on your voice recorders to try to catch those whistles? Everybody, all the locals know the story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland or Queen Street on the other side throws a whistle down the alley. I'm going to move you over here. We got a friend right above you. Anyone to land in your hair. It's like, no. So, keep in mind, I throw that whistle every single night. We're going to end at the next street. My garage is right here. So I throw a whistle down the alley every single night. So let's talk about why I got booted out of there, because that's the fun part, right? That's Nick's got in trouble, but it's relevant to our last story. Sorry, my nose is like super itchy. Like you've been looking at me like, what's going on with the guy's nose?
Yeah.
It's crazy. But anyway, this alley didn't always come all the way through. So the bricks on the other side are longer, and they're sun-dried bricks from slave trade. So we do have one full handprint and fingerprint swipes. Now you got to print it.
Okay.
See,
Thank you.
I don't want to make you freak out. So I used to take my folks down there and we would be listening in on the voice recorder and that kind of thing. Everybody wants to put a spirit box or an EMF meter near that brick with the handprint in it. It is residential at the end. I treat that brick the same way as your grave. That kid's not staring at that brick in the afterlife. We're not going to get anything from it. Well, one night, November 26th of 2020, yes, I remember the date exactly, because we were right outside that gentleman's dining room window. He was not very happy with me. We come out screaming. My daughter thought it was great. She was on the tour because Dad's getting yelled at. So we moved on, finished the tour. The next day was Thanksgiving, November 27th, 2020. So I didn't have a tour. I'm the new guy on the block. I'm going to take the weekends off or the holidays off. November 28th, I get a phone call from the tourism office asking me to go down halfway like everybody else or reroute my tour. I decide I'm going to reroute. So I tell my group, we're going to wing it and see what happens. Tickets were much cheaper. I can't wing it anymore. But with that said, we go up there, and before I even tell them what we're going to be discussing, somebody hears Anne on a spirit box. I did not tell them we were going to be discussing female pirate Anne Bonny. So I'm like, all right. I didn't even believe this story. Again, I told you, I'm a vampire guy. So we get up there. Somebody else hears the number 300. I'm like, yeah, I got nothing. I'm sorry. That's a weird one. I do the research the next day. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th of 1720. We were there November 28th of 2020, the exact 300-year anniversary of her pirate trial. So I've been taking you guys back up there every single night ever since. It is a hit or miss location. We either get a ton or we get nothing. We're rolling the dice because Anne Bonny is said to be seen all over town, and you're going to realize why once we get down there. But from here, we're going to go up to St. Philip's Church and Cemetery. We're going to take a look at that and see what's going on up there. You guys are going to tell me what's going on with your spirit boxes. Have you had any terms?
Stream, train, wait, and go.
Circle back. See what's on your screen right now. So, yeah.
Stream.
Still stream? Okay. Alright, so videos, if you want to continue recording, you can. But we're going to be, sitting for at least 4 or 5 minutes, so it might be irrelevant kind of footage. That was weird.
Alarm.
Is that what it said?
I heard alarm.
It's usually go with your first instinct. If you heard alarm, like I heard an R out of it for sure. Okay. It's a confirmed alarm. Very cool. Finally got a term out of that thing. So, alright, let's go up to the next corner and you guys continue telling me what's going on. Oh, I thought you wanted to leave, man.
I'm already lost here.
Hello.
So across the way here is the Walls of Philadelphia alley that we just discussed. There's a gate right in the middle of it. The reason that gate is there is in the event there was a loser to the duel, meaning a dead guy, it was a shortcut to get to the cemetery behind me. So otherwise, they'd have to go down to Queen Street, that you guys saw how lengthy it was to carry a dead body, and come all the way back around to get to that little cemetery right there. So again, I call that the death gate. It does have a wrought iron gate on it. You just can't see it from this location because it's pretty far off, but it does stay locked all the time. So again, when you're walking that alley, just look to your right, and you'll see the death gate going over the courtyard.
We took pictures in front of it today.
Oh, nice.
We took pictures of the death gate?
Yeah, woman.
Oh, no. We stood in front of the death gate. You made me do that.
I knew.
So,
It's great to have friends.
I know,
Yeah,
right?
what a friend.
So it's an interesting thing because not many people know why that gate is there. But you remember, the alley didn't go all the way through, so they needed a way to get over there. So go ahead and have a seat. We're going to chit chat and see what you guys are telling me on your spirit box.
Good city cleaning.
I know, right? You guys told me the word help and then 1497 or whatever those numbers
Yeah,
were.
I don't remember that. Yeah.
I like the number 7 on that. I'm going to wait to see if something else pops up out of it, just because it's relevant in a weird way. So we'll kind of see what else pops up. Every ghost tour stops. I love your shoes, by the way. I just happened to notice I was down wearing the light. It's weird. My wife is disabled, and I can't buy her cute shoes like that. So it's like when I see cute shoes, I hate
These
to
are
point them out to
comfy?
her because she can't wear them.
These are comfy. Flat.
Anyway, they all stop up at that cemetery over there, but I like to point out a few things about the cemetery first. There are 2 different sides to it. This is the eastern side and the western side. So the eastern side is if you're from Charleston, you can be buried over here. Eliza's husband and nephew, Charles and Charles, are both buried on this side because they're from here. John Calhoun, your 7th vice president, is buried across the street in a sarcophagus. They did shuffle his ass back and forth trying to figure out which side he's supposed to go to. They didn't know he wasn't from here. He just lived here a very long time. So that side is normally open to the public. They're always keeping this one pretty much under lockdown just because of renovations and keeping the tombstones in great order and that kind of thing. So they all stop up at this particular cemetery, the side, because there's a sign right inside that says there's no ghost here but the Holy Ghost. So if you've been walking around and you notice that, here's the reason why. My nose is still going nuts, by the way. 1888, a young lady dies by the name of Sue Howard Hardy. Now, we just talked about initials. This is very cheesy, very campy, and I hate even telling you, but it comes up all the time. Sue's initials, Sue Howard Hardy. I hate telling you that, but I hear it all the time. Teenagers, when they're on this tour, they normally put both earbuds in because they get bored with me telling history all night long. So they're like, somebody just shushed me on the radio. And I'm like, yeah, they did, because that's Sue's initials. So anyway, she dies 6 days after her stillborn child. That's 1888. That's the end of her story. Very abrupt. But in 1987, a local photographer is taking pictures of all of our cemeteries, putting a book together, and captures a full apparition in one of those photographs. So if you're unfamiliar with it, basically it's a ghost in a picture. It's 1987. He does not have the tech that we have now. So he sends it to Kodak. Again, something else I don't have to explain. Kodak. Teenagers have no idea. They think it's a bear. I don't know where that yeah.
Kodiak.
Is that where it comes from?
A Kodiak bear.
Kodiak bear. So Kodak doesn't know what to do with this picture either. They can't debunk it for him. They have no idea what's going on with it. So every tour guide stops up there, and I let them have it because normally on the weekends, like, it's a fight to get over there. I let them have it because you guys have the show and tell in your hands. This is their one time of a show and tell. I am going to show you the picture. However, it is cursed to females. Here's the curse. If you handle it even in a digital format like a cell phone or a tablet, so don't touch my tablet, basically you're going to get the same symptoms we talked about at Big John's. The headache, the nausea, the dizziness. Pregnant females are probably not going to have a good pregnancy based on the gist of the story. I am not going to be the guy where somebody had a fantastic vacation and 9 months later I cursed their family. So
I looked at it all the time.
no, was it on your phone?
Okay.
That was something.
No.
What did it say?
I don't know, but you're recording, so that's pretty cool. We would have captured on the recording. So I'm going to go 2 by 2 so everybody can get to see the picture. Full photo. Yep. And then the baby right next to her.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Most people miss that.
Okay.
When you zoom in even further on a computer, you can actually see the weaving of the basket. This is probably another instance where the baby is buried with mom. So this is Sue Howard Hardy's grave, by the way. You can see she's leaned over her own grave with the baby basket next to her on the right. Yeah, pretty creepy stuff. So full photograph. The ghost is right here. You're looking at her back with the shoulders and the baby basket next to her. So again, that's why every single ghost story goes up there. So after I get us prepped for pirates, if nobody is still there, we'll go up and we'll take a minute of footage or two and kind of see what goes on, see if anything kind of comes up. It's Monday night. I don't expect another tour to be walking by. I think I saw one other tour while we were out tonight, which is nice, meaning I'm the only guy working. So it just shows how cool you guys are. Anyway, let's get you guys prepped for pirates, all right? there's where some of my, and I'll be honest, like the pirate thing, the reason why I'm not so into them is because it just reminds me of my ex-wife. And the funny thing is she has no idea all of the history that goes behind the crazy movies that made it to the big blockbuster. So, do you see the burning gas lamp off in the distance down there?
Mm-hmm.
That's the pirate house. It has a big
John?
anchor.
John.
I got mine turned down.
Sorry.
Sorry.
You gave me the number 7 earlier.
Oh, yeah.
There's the other clue I'm looking for.
Oh, what she said.
John. John Calhoun, our 7th vice president, is buried across the street.
Oh.
7 can show up in a number of ways here. You got a little freaked out just now, didn't you? If the number 7 shows up twice, which often does when we're coming around the Philadelphia alley corner to come over here, the doctor's birthday is July 7th, 7-7. So that shows up that way. We're going to go talk about the Powder magazine across the street. It served 7 different wars. The number 7 over here is crazy, so I always wait for that secondary clue to see which one it's supposed to go to. You have 7 in the 1497, and you gave me the name John. So we obviously are going to have something. One night, some kid come up to me, a teenage kid, and he said, "What is 1832?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "I just heard 1832." That was the ending year of Calhoun's presidency. Like, again, can't make this stuff up. So, hello, friend. Yeah, you crush them, they kind of give off that stink. Oh, there you go. Let him go where he's going to go.
Not by me.
Yeah, we got a bunch. Oh. Oh! Yeah, flies, huh?
Sorry.
So, back to the pirate house. Okay. That's where Blackbeard's men used to come off their ships. They would actually meet with a few ladies. We can put 2 and 2 together there. And that's where they would stay. Oh, by the way, there's a big anchor on the front of that pirate house. Somebody does live there and don't go in his backyard looking for ghosts. He also gets mad, and don't ask me how I know these things. It's just one of those pieces. So, yeah, she's like, yeah, you're weird, dude. But anyway, the cool thing about that place is they dug a tunnel underneath it going 1 block away to Dock Street Theater. I said Dock Street Theater, so I have to tell the next story. So, Phil, don't let me forget that.
Okay.
So, going to Dock Street Theater. That used to be called Planters Hotel. Whorehouse, playhouse, and a hotel. Obviously, the whorehouse was an attraction for pirates, but playhouse, pirates were our first stagehands. They would go over there to work in between bartering with our locals. The interesting thing about that tunnel is they just filled it in the 1990s. So we're going to go across the street to get away from our friends over here, and I can tell the rest of that Dock Street Theater story, because he's talking about John Wilkes Booth. He has some history knowledge that he has, so I'm going to give him a little bit more extra.
Cool.
Along with that Booth family. But I do like to point out that pirate house when you're walking around town. Just imagine there was a tunnel underneath it. I don't know why it took us so long to fill it in, because we're below sea level. We filled it in the 1990s, so a couple hundred years later. Pretty crazy stuff. Let's go across the street. These roaches are driving me nuts now. Anything on there? Okay. I'm excited about 7 and John. I'm very excited about that. Hopefully another clue comes up. So, the other piece of Dock Street Theater is said to be haunted by a couple of different things, and Dock Street Theater is actually said to be one of the top 10 haunted places in America. I'll be honest with you, I've been in that place dozens of times with equipment. Don't get much. Not much at all. Here's one of the ghosts that they actually say is there. It is the son, or the, it would be John Wilkes Booth, his son Junius, if I'm not mistaken. It might be the other way around. I haven't told this one in a while. But he was just a traveling actor, and that was when it was Dock Street Theater, an actual theater. So it's probably the second. I can't remember the year span. But he is said to haunt that place in period dress. So his name was Junius Booth.
Okay.
The irony is that he haunts, and he didn't die here. He's not buried here. He's actually, I want to say, he's buried in Virginia, which is so weird that they keep seeing this character over there that I don't have any other relation other than he was related to John Wilkes Booth, who shot Lincoln in a theater. So again, take that for what it's worth. But yeah, that place has a lot of stories wrapped around it. I've been through it, not with some of the upgraded gear that you guys have, but Anyway, let's get back to pirates. That's where Dana was getting excited. So, we're going to be discussing that little building over there with the crosses on it. Those are not crosses, by the way. Those are earthquake bolts. If you're unfamiliar with earthquake bolts, they're basically turnbuckles. So if we have another earthquake like what we did in 1886 that I mentioned at the top of the tour, you can turn those turnbuckles and it's supposed to straighten the building back up. It's a great idea, it just doesn't work. So I bring these ones up because these are the oldest earthquake bolts in Charleston. Why? Because this is in South Carolina. It was finished in 1713, which is part of the reason why we're here. We're using this building as kind of like a trigger object because it's what I call a familiar. Basically, in a nutshell, it's like using a toy to attract a child most. This building was built at the same time frame that Anne Bonny started her pirate career in Charleston. So, a little bit more history on the building. I told you all about the Charlestown walls earlier when we were in Lodge Alley. I do that purposely so you have a better gist of it here. That parking garage is where the wall stood. It went up Cumberland Street, past the powder magazine just by half a block and started going south towards the battery. It puts the gunpowder magazine into the corner of the walls, like basically keeping it as far away from the water as possible. If it gets attacked from a Revolutionary warship or a pirate ship, those cannonballs are going to have a hard time getting through the 32-inch thick walls. We're going to pretend it does, and it blows up the gunpowder. During its construction, they put sand in the roof to go up with the explosion if it gets attacked, to fall to put out the fire of the gunpowder. It's another great idea that doesn't work. We had another powder magazine, same construction, sand went up, building burned to the ground. It doesn't work. This one's just never been attacked. But it did serve in 7 different wars, like I've already mentioned. The Civil War was its last servant. It is a museum now. If you ever need to get out of our heat or our cold, that's a great $5 to spend. Just, I'm not an advocate for it, but I love the building. So, this building, 10 years it took to make this place, 1703 to 1713. Does that sound like our government? Small building, 10 years? No, not at all. I'll answer for you. So, our story actually begins in 1708. If my nose can stop itching. God, that's driving me nuts. Yeah, I think my...
You know what that means, don't you?
What is it? You know, somebody else told me that. That happened to me like 2 weeks ago. My nose just would not stop. I was always told that somebody's talking about you. Like if your nose is itchy.
I don't know, that's what
We'll see. So anyway,
Stay away.
1708, a young lady moves here by the name of Anne Cormack. She moves here with her father and his mistress. The mistress is her mother. Are you guys following me so far? Louisa, you got that? Mm-hmm. Okay, the 3 of them are running away from his wife. I slow down on this part because it's kind of a weird twist. So, how pissed was she that you got to leave your own country, get on a boat, and get out of Dodge? Just saying. So, they land in Georgetown from Ireland. Georgetown is just north of here, between us and Myrtle Beach, right in between. Dad buys a plantation. Mom dies pretty quickly. That means he has to send young Anne down here, downtown area, to sell anything from the plantation to keep things afloat. Young Anne back home in Ireland was kind of a badass. They say she actually killed one of her servants with a knife to the belly. It's a good thing it wasn't Jose next to me, because I already killed him once at Philadelphia Alley. So, but anyway, just kind of keep that mentality. Anne was only like 10 or 12 years old when that happened. So she was a pretty hardcore chick. We're going to fast forward a little bit. Building's done in 1713. Pirates are coming through town in 1715. Anne's pretty stoked. She's going to fall in love. Guy number 1 turned out to be James Bonny. Yes, I'm going to count them because there was a couple of them. James Bonny. You guys already see where this is going. Dad doesn't approve. They run away to Jamaica. They get married. Anne Cormack becomes Anne Bonny, their most famous female pirate of the Golden Age. Now, when you get down there, this is not the swashbuckling Captain Jack Sparrow that she was hoping for. This guy's a privateer. He's a spy for the British. In her eyes, he's a coward. This is not who she was. A few years later, she falls in love again. Guy number 2. This guy turns out to be John Rackham, a.k.a. Calico Jack. This is the same character that they based Captain Jack Sparrow off of, just so everybody knows. And he has his own ship and wants to be part of it. You can't put a girl on the crew because girls curse pirate ships. Right, exactly. So, with that said, he makes a deal with her. If you can dress like a guy, you can be part of the crew, but you're going to be a female in my quarters. She's okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy back home in Ireland to keep her away from his wife. Whatever, she's a pirate. Let's do this. Being a female in his quarters, let's put 2 and 2 together. She's obviously going to get pregnant. You cannot have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out she's a girl, right? So he drops her off in Cuba. Go have the baby, come back later, we'll figure it out from there. She has the baby but returns with no baby. We have no idea what happens with this child. Yeah, just, how about that? She also returns dressed as a female. She doesn't care about hiding her gender anymore. She just wants her freedom. This makes Jack mad. But Jack captured another pirate crew while she was off giving birth to his first child, and they're down below deck, and Anne's going to go flirting to make Jack even more mad because that's what Anne does. Guy number 3. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female, dressed like a guy to be part of the pirate crew the Calico Jack just captured. So now we have 2 females, dressed like guys, to be pirates on the same ship. Nose. Anyway, this young lady's name is Mary Reed. Mary becomes part of the crew and Anne's friend, companion, / lover, we'll never know for certain, and the British find out where they are. They send their entire fleet of ships to take down one pirate ship. Yeah. Anne and Mary are the only 2 pirates to come up, and not like they weren't drunk to come up and fight. Everybody else was too drunk to come up and fight with their 1-bullet flintlocks, trying to defend the ship against a fleet of other ships. Obviously, they're going to get arrested. As they're being arrested, she looks at her captain in bow, Calico Jack, and says, "You should have fought like a man instead of being hanged like a dog." So when you heard dog bark, that was you. We were too far away. I was pretty excited at first. I'm like, nope, probably not relevant. So, with that said, the judge, his name is Nicholas Laws. When my name shows up here, it's relevant in 3 different ways. It's just like the John Calhoun, the number 7 thing. But anyway, the judge wants to see the 2 men that fought back so valiantly by themselves after he tries Calico Jack and the drunken pirates that wouldn't come up and fight. So they're dead and gone. The 2 ladies go in front. They reveal their gender to the judge. He doesn't care. They're still pirates. He's still going to hang them. "We plead our bellies," was the last thing they claimed. Basically saying they're pregnant. You can't hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. He sends them both back to jail. Delays the hanging. Dad is still here in Charleston with all of his Irish money. He bails her out. She comes home. She remarries husband number 2, but guy number 4, yes, we're going to count Mary Reed, and James Bonney was the only husband she had out of all of those, besides the one she remarried after she came back home. Has 4 kids and dies at the age of 84. Yes, all my stories end in death. That's how this goes. Mary Reed, as far as she goes, she died a year later in 1721. Jamaican jail, from whatever pirates die from, in a Jamaican jail. Probably scurvy, some
Scurvy,
who knows?
TB, something.
Right, who knows? So, 2 things I left out of here for you on purpose. I'm not going to give you a plethora of questions because this story has a lot of holes in it. The only 2 things I can actually prove that I'm going to give you are the names of Anne Bonney's parents, the father and the mistress, and the name of Calico Jack's ship. So if you want to ask questions with your spirit boxes, those are 2 that you can start off with. Everything else is fair game because I may know it, I may not know it, and a lot of it just might be lore. Who knows? I told you at the beginning of the story that people have passed out on my tours. So I'm going to take 1 more minute of your time before I spread you guys loose. I swear, I don't know who this fool is, but there must be...
We're here to, like, pick you up if your nose takes you down.
God. Like, my eyes are watering. Like, that gets you. So, back in September, it was a little cooler than this. Like, this is a little warm. This is humid. I brought my team back here, probably 8 or 9 people. The kid next to me he goes white as a ghost. Yes, that pun was intended. And I have to pick him up by his armpit. And me and his boyfriend carry him over to that wall, which is where we're going to end. Send the boyfriend over to go get him a bottle of water from a vending machine. The kid's feeling better. I then tell the story that I just told you. After I send everybody out with all of their devices, Nick, we have to tell you something. Can you hang back for a minute? Yeah. We are 2 transgender males. Meaning I had 2 females dressed as males, just like Anne and Mary, on my tour. And it made sense as to why one of them felt faint almost the minute we entered the space. They weren't overdressed. The weather was perfectly fine. There was no reason why that kid went white as a ghost. And they had just eaten before the tour. So it wasn't from lack of nutrition of any kind. Like, again, they're perfectly fine with me telling my guests every night because it's a heated morning. That was one of the nights where I did not have to call the paramedics. So I've had to do that several times. Psychics normally won't make it on this tour. That's why I've been watching you all night long. You said you were a little sensitive. You never claimed psychic mediumship, but you tell me you're sensitive, I'm going to keep an eye on you. So this space in particular, you're going to use your REM pod. The closer you get to those bushes and the corners of the lot, your red reading will go off because of the electrical poles and the parking meters. For those of you with cameras, if you want to go to the front of the powder magazine, I invite you to do so. Just stay out of the way of the other tours that I don't see exist, which is funny. The only tour I saw that just passed through here, that's like my one friend in the tourism industry. Like, that guy's tour is amazing. He's like a master storyteller, and that's coming from somebody with a master's degree in creative writing. That guy is amazing. I take his tour once a year just as a refresh. Like, he's that good. The name of that tour is Pleasing Terrors. And again, I'm not an advocate for him because he's always sold out. But good luck trying to get on it. But anyway, we're going to spread out. Have you gotten any words before we... September. Months normally don't like either. So I'm going to have to look at September. Alright. And you've obviously been focused on me, so you were on
Right,
mute.
I had it down.
Alright, good deal. Well, you've obviously had some voices come through on your end, so... But yeah, let's get closer to that powder magazine, and those of you with cameras, if you're going to be front, feel free. See how you guys pay me to go to work and I get to take a break?
Do you have software that picks out the words, or do you listen to it?
I listen to it manually. Jesus. Every morning. It's my first cup of coffee. I get that one done and out of here. Because there's so many other things. I watch videos. My drop down.
Powder magazine. It's where they held all the gunpowder during the Revolution until they actually used it.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Mike. Smile. Don't worry about it. Where it goes, because I've had that before. But I remember Charles Brinkman was very across the street. And I get things related to him and Louisa all the time over here too. That throws you off because we were already done with that investigation. Now we're over here next to the damn husband.
Well, it's not about what you want to hear.
Yeah, I know. It's never about what I want to hear. So, one of the craziest orbs I've ever caught came from that camera. It was like the second night I had it. You want to see it?
Yeah.
And it was in the space, right where you're pointing. That's why I was like, oh, let me see if he wants to see the, of course I had to post it to Facebook. Because that's what draws people into the tours. When you go through social media, that's all they want to see is what evidence are we capturing. It's going to be coming across this way. It's in slow-mo, so we can actually see it.
Oh, yeah.
It's probably one of the best
Yeah.
orbs I've ever caught.
Okay, husband passed away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I don't blame. And hey, mom.
Mom, you wouldn't think that mom would be a term back then, but maybe mom
Yeah.
be a thing? Husband passed away.
Yeah.
I don't blame.
Two different.
Yeah. Writing in the dark is a new new skill on my resume. What do you think? You got what? How many red ones?
know one of the fighting tricks of Anne Bonny and Mary Read were?
Fighting tricks?
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I know about that is they would bare a breast to show the men that they were females.
And men would freak out,
yeah.
and then they'd slit their throats.
It's actually one of the last things I tell you guys as I'm showing you a picture of her with a shirt on. Because, you know, it's very hard to find pictures of her with a top on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's usually the last thing that I reveal. And everybody chuckles. You stole my thunder, Bill.
Yeah. You're into vampires, I'm into pirates. I got, like, the full outfit at home and stuff like that.
Well, I think with...
I used to go to the St. Augustine has a pirate festival every year.
Oh, okay.
And we go and pick up something stupid.
Half the reason why we were there is so I can find more ties. I was going to the Pirate Museum. You know, because the Calico Jack flag is in there. So that was, you know, pretty cool to see. And, you know, I took lots of pictures of the flintlocks that they had and the duckbills and all that stuff. I'm not into guns, but I love the way the flintlock evolved in the 1700s. Because I get pieces of it, like parts and pieces of it show up on spirit boxes to me.
Oh, really?
I'm like, brass pan, what the hell does that mean? So I'll look up brass pan, it's part of a flintlock.
Yeah.
Lo and behold, what do you know? You know, it's just weird little things like that that teach me things, and it's like, you can't beat that. I learn stuff pretty much on a weekly basis from these.
I haven't seen anything.
And again, this screen is small.
But I feel like that's why I was scanning the hedge, like something was there.
Louisa, what do you got? She's so timid. Most people walking around staring at that thing, waiting for it to come up.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't want to look. I'm not looking.
And Nathaniel.
I don't know who Nathaniel is. I'll dive in and see if there's a Nathaniel buried on that side. Maybe it's someone else.
I heard Mom again.
Just looks like a little potty. Nicholas Trott was the first Chief Justice. He lived in Charleston. He was staying there before the area where Doctor Theater is now was being renovated. But because Doctor Theater has so much history of its own, they claim, you know, and ghosts and all that stuff, they stayed the Nicholas Trott. So it's kind of a misnomer. But yeah, somebody does live there. It actually has a historical marker.
Really?
Yeah. It actually says Nicholas Trott House on it.
Oh, really? It's not really street.
Yeah, that's the address of it, because this is 79, so that was the next parking lot. The next drive, the little drive, is probably some city's parking lot. Alright, you guys aren't giving me super exciting things. Let's rein it in. Come on in, Cindy. Let's go ahead and cut your video.